Hi, and thank you for logging in and watching this video. Awkward intro aside, today we're going to have another review, and this one is going to be for something that a lot of you have been asking about on Facebook, on text, because some of you actually have my phone number and I don't understand why. I'm joking, but without further ado, about time we get to it. We're going to be reviewing these Bauer Nexus 8000s. Where the hell does it say 8000? Oh, here we go. Nexus 8000s. So we're going to go ahead and put the skate guard on because Junkyard Athletic made these for me, and he is amazing. He does great work. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've had these skates for literally 1 full year. Now, as you can tell with some of the damage, I think that's the most damage. Maybe some discoloration on the toque from pucks. The tongue, it's been okay. I do like it. It's nice and thick. However, I still get some flexibility issues because I'm used to the softer tongue that's coming out that I came over from with Graph. Nice and thick, but still soft enough for a guy who doesn't like having his foot feeling like it's in a plaster boot. So aesthetically, we're going to start with that. So when I pulled these out of the box originally, now I did get to see these before the public got to see them. We did Bauer Day, and one of the reps for Bauer, wonderful guy. Actually, they were all wonderful, but one of them was extra wonderful in particular because he took this time of the day to, work with us and give myself and a couple of friends the presentation that they normally give to, stores, basically. So, say they do presentations for like Hockey Monkey, Behind the Mask, who's local to us. Randy's a local legend when it comes to hockey and trying to grow the sport. Former pro, fell in love with this state, this city, and he just stayed here, and he's been doing everything he can from his stores to sponsoring programs. But so he and Bauer got together. They joined Superpower Rings, and they hosted Bauer Day last year. So we got to see all of that. We got the presentation, which was fantastic. Excuse me, I'm also trying to remove something from inside the boot so you can see it as well, because the other video that will coordinate with this one or follow up on this one will be regarding the Bauer speed plate, which is pretty awesome, and we will talk about this one. So a big thank you to the Bauer representative for letting us see these, for giving us the whole presentation on these. These are pretty fantastic. We'll touch up on that later. When I got to see these, I was very impressed. I really liked the fact that they were mostly black. I'm more of a guy that tries to keep it a little bit less flash, except my old Easton skates. Those had the white right here, and so I was really pleasantly surprised. The blue interior was decent. The material that it's made out of, it's really hydrophobic. The first few times that I used them, I literally poured half a water bottle into each skate, just kind of soaked my skates, soaked my socks, and bam, dry within, I don't know, I'd say about the second period. I was, mildly wet to then being completely dry by the time I took them off, just slightly damp, because you're playing hockey, so it's not soaking wet like it was originally. The tongue, I really like the fact that it's nice and white. However, of course, the white tongues are going to stain, but so be it. That does happen. So aesthetically, I really like these skates. They were nice and clean. I wasn't too big of a fan of the gray right here. I did like the old blue, heel that was on the 195. I thought that one was really nice and classy looking, but these are pretty damn nice and classy looking too. So as far as aesthetics, I'm going to go ahead and say I really did like the look of these skates. I like the bare toe cap. It's a good hard plastic. I think the only reason that's there, that was from a slap shot directly that was during the NCHL draft tournament, and that dude that dude could shoot it. It actually hurt my big toe pretty bad. So as far as looks, I did like the skates. Now as far as the stiffness, now this is probably the stiffest skate I've ever used, or that I can fit my foot into. I know the APX and the APX2 are ridiculously stiff. You might as well have a broken foot and put your foot in an APX2 skate, because that's better than putting a cast on it. But however, this skate was extremely stiff. There is some give right here, but as you can tell, I don't lace my skates up all the way, so I naturally have the flop and, you know, the forgiveness of the stiffness right there. So I was very, very shocked at how stiff these skates were. I was actually kind of scared to try them on, because I thought, holy crap, I might end up hurting myself, because I was coming in from graphs. The rep talked me into using them, and I ended up falling in love. Right out of the box, I just totally fell in love with these. I put them on, I hit the ice. It kind of took a few seconds to get used to the height, because they are a little bit taller than my graphs. And of course, the pitch is different than the graphs and the Cobras. So it did take a little while to get used to. I'd say about 1 to 2 minutes, give or take. Yeah, and then everything was A-okay. But the stiffness was just unforgiving at first. I was really scared that I was never going to get used to it. Luckily, I did, and I was able to work with it. I was able to, you know, just skip the loop like I did even on my graphs. And once I did it with this, it just totally made it a lot easier, a lot better to work with. And then I immediately stopped having issues. They're a very stiff and protective skate. So as far as the protection, let's go into that as well. They're probably the most protective skate I've ever used. On graphs, if I went and played on tournaments, I would wear shot blockers, those Lexan, Plexi, whatever the hell they're called. And even then, sometimes I would take pucks to the side of the foot on the boot, and I felt like somebody just kicked me in the stomach. It hurt so much. And with these, I didn't feel anything. I probably did a lot more stuff on purpose to try to see if... Luckily, I have insurance, and luckily I didn't break my foot, but I could have broken my foot with the way I was acting with these skates on. And lucky to say that they're probably the most protective skate I've ever used. So on a scale of 1 to 5 as far as protection, the Bauer 8000, I give it a full 5. You know, these are very, very stiff skates, and that is very forgiving when it comes to being protective. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and touch up on the inside. I'm not going to give you too much information on it. You can get all the information you want about this interior, padding, and, you know, the liner, pretty much anywhere. Hockey Monkey, Total Hockey, all the good guys online fighting the good fight to get you into some skates. Whether it's Graph, whether it's Bauer, whether it's CCM, they all have a very good description. They all have a very good way of letting you know what the interior is. Now, as far as that, I do know that they do use the live material for the composite. So the live material does come into play when it comes with this. It has a very, very soft but still kind of stiffer padding on the inside. It's got a very good heel lock. My heel has never felt any more locked in. I don't have any slipping. I don't have any issues with that. It's got a pretty good support on the inside as well, especially when with the speed plate, because once baked, I mean, that you can tell how high my arch is. So the liner, I've had issues with liners where they do tear up easily. I wear basketball padded socks like the Nike ones, and what ends up happening is eventually the socks will either start tearing away at the liner, or the liner starts tearing away at the socks. That happened a lot with the Graphs. The Graphs had that black mesh liner, and it tore up a lot of my socks at the toe, the heel, and the ankle. I've been using the same 2 pairs of basketball socks for about a year now since I got these skates, just those 2 specifically, and I've had not one single issue. These skates have been great as far as that. They dry so quickly. The interior, like I said, it's very hydrophobic. So it just dries like nothing. It's got a couple of these grip things in and around the heel, and so it does lock in your foot and make sure that it creates a good wrap, which goes into play with the next part. A lot of people bake their, oh wait, sorry. So with the liner, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 out of 5. With the regular insole that this came with, it worked perfect. The liner hugged your foot, and the original insole grabbed your foot from the bottom, and you felt like your foot was completely locked in. With the speed plate, it feels like there's a little bit more slipping, only because instead of this little black part being more around here to hug the foot, it's not. So you kind of tend to slip a little bit because of this, but that's only when your skates are a little too loose, and that's never really much of an issue unless my foot is hurting a little bit. So, you know, get over that. The tongue is a very stiff tongue. It's got a pretty good guard in here for protection against lace bite. However, it's a little too stiff. I like a tongue where I can kind of, you know, flop it. It's got enough room where the guard is a little bit over and gives you a nice little flop, but because I skipped that top loop, I kind of need more extra flop, about an extra inch, and it's not forgiving. So whenever I try to kind of lean down and crouch down, I don't know why I would need to. Maybe when I'm taking a shot, it's usually when I'll feel the tongue just kind of crushing against the top of my foot. So as far as the tongue, it's a good tongue if you're one of those guys that likes to, you know, tuck it under the shin pad. If you're like me who likes to flop it, it's not going to work out too great. The tongue, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2 out of 5. I'm very unhappy with the tongue. It's nicely thick padding. That's going to give it the 2 out of the 5, but everything else I'm not feeling it, man. I love the tongue, but I feel that it could be better, especially with that super stiff guard. I'm not a big fan of the big composite inserts that everybody's doing on the tongues. I don't think that's protective or helpful, and you should rely on your ankles. You should rely on the freedom of your feet while wearing something nice and protective. All right, so moving on. Let's cover something really quick, because if you own the Supreme line, and you know what I'm talking about by doing this, has had no issue whatsoever. One issue that I've seen with the Supreme line and the APX line is breakage. Now, there's 2 types of people when it comes to hockey. There's the guys who remove their skate using this. They either stick their foot on it or use their hand and crank it out. And then there's people who remove their skates doing this. This is what I do. Pop the tongue open, grab it from the back, and pull that son of a gun out. Wow, I can't believe I used that word. But it's better than cursing because this is a kid's show. Now, I did, on purpose, try to see if I could break it, because I have the tools and I have the replacement tendon guards that, you know, some repair guys use. So I went ahead and made sure that I was prepared in case I broke it. I put the skate on it. I put my foot on it. I put someone else's foot on it. It only flexed about that much and flexed pretty good inward, but it never broke. So the tendon guard on the Nexus 8000 is really good. I definitely give this a 5 out of 5 out of 5 out of 5, because sold. That's how good it is. So let's move on to the width. The width on this one is standard. This is a regular width straight out of the box. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I have very wide feet. I had to get custom super fat wide Eastons, and in my grafts I had to kind of punch them out a little bit, and they came in the widest possible one. So for me to just slip my foot on, tighten the crap out of these, and be okay without baking them, we'll touch up on that in a minute. Perfect. Thank you very much for creating a skate for us folks with big, fat, wide feet. So as far as the width, I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10, because thank you. Finally, someone sees that we have wide-footed people. Let's touch up on the toque. Now this is the new Lightspeed Edge 2, the one with the trigger. And a lot of people seem to give this negative reviews. I'm going to take the middleman road for this because I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. And I'll tell you why. Now, after about 6 months, this right here kind of did start clacking a little bit. So what I had to do is I removed it, grabbed a piece of gel, shoved it in here, and then put the blade back on. And that took away of any looseness with the blade. So I've seen some people where this breaks due to shots. I've seen some people where it just falls apart on them. I don't know why. The steel also seems to have breakage issues. I don't know if I had this issue. Actually, no, I don't know why they're having this issue. Maybe it's a bad batch. I seem to have been okay. I stick these skates in front of any puck available within a 2-foot distance of my feet, and I see it coming, a hard shot, and I stick my foot in front of it thinking, oh, this is it, it's gonna break right here, and it doesn't. So it's pretty durable. I still feel some flexibility when I go to stop, when I'm going at a hard speed. It does this weird vibration, and I don't like it. I had the same issue when I had my Eastons with the crappy Easton holder, and they're awful steel. So this kind of makes me a little unhappy because it's extremely loud as well. Take some nails and scratch a chalkboard, and it literally sounds like that. So when you're skating really hard and you stop and everybody's wincing and going, oh my God, what is that? And you just kind of say, that's me, deal with it. As far as the blade, now this thing kind of has a hard time holding an edge. I'm not going to lie. I had to switch back over with these. Now when I get new skates, I always try different cuts. And I tried them with regular, and then I tried them with flat bottom V. I tried regular cuts, half, and I think it was like 5/8 or something like that. And the same cut that I do for goalie, which is 5/8. I tried it with this. I was having a hard time being able to hold an edge. It was getting to the point where the edges were completely almost rolled over. They were completely lost within the first game of using it. And usually when I tried all this stuff out, it's on a Tuesday where I go and do skills and drills, and we have a game afterwards. And this, I'm talking about 3 hours of hockey. So if this happens within the first hour of the drills, I'm kind of screwed for the rest of the night. But, you know, you adapt and you try not to go face first into the boards. So, seeing as the edge has a bit of a hard time holding seeing as the steel has a bit of a hard time holding the edge, I'm not going to be too nice about it. It's flexible a little bit. There seems to be breakage issues. Like I said, it didn't happen to me, so I'm not going to throw them under the bus with that. But as far as holding an edge, I can only hold an edge if I have it done flat bottom V. Anything else is going to be awful. And flat bottom V also tends to still roll up on the outer edges. So here I am with the stone immediately after usage, and that's kind of a problem because, you know, if you sharpen your skates, it should give you maybe 1 or 2 games, not one and done. So the steel, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 because there's room for improvement. And I see a lot of people end up, you know, switching out the steel and getting something different, something a lot stiffer. And but other than that, I'll give it a 2 out of 5. There's room for improvement. It's a steel. It holds its edge for 1 game, which is good enough for some people, not for me. I'm sorry. So other than that, we'll move on. Would I recommend these skates to other people? Absolutely. If you see me on Proclaimed, I'm always telling them, hey, if you got a wide foot, you're coming in from really wide grafts like the 709, the G35 like I was in, definitely suggest these if you're trying to step it up and go to a full composite skate. It's a very good skate. It's very protective. It's very stiff. And unlike most people, like I say, I prefer to break in my skates by foot, not by hand, by foot. So I wear them out of the box. Well, I change the laces, of course, but I never bake my skates, so it's a lot more painful in the first couple of weeks of usage, but in the long term, it's a lot more rewarding because when you bake your skates, you're technically heating up your skates and adding about 6 months worth of damage just to try to quote unquote mold them to your hand, mold them to your feet, when in reality the usage, and you need 180 pounds. So unless you weigh less than 180 pounds, you got, you know, unless you weigh under 180 pounds, then I guess you could bake them. But if you weigh over 180 pounds, you have no room to complain. Break that shit in like a man. So do I recommend these skates? Absolutely. On a scale of 1 to 5, what do I give these skates? I'm going to give them a 4 out of 5 because I gave them 2 out of 5 for a couple of things, but everything else was spectacular in my eyes. And look at these things. I've been using them for 1 full year. Do you see damage? Look at this. Do you see damage? I do not. So clearly the durability is fantastic. All right. How are you going to tell me that, you know, some of these Bauer skates are not durable? And here we are with this skate. Here we are with these skates, 1 full year worth of use, and they're immaculate. They are immaculate. So don't tell me that all the Bauer skates are the same. They all break down. Maybe the APX does, maybe the MX3 does, or whatever the Supreme line is now. But the Nexus line, that's a whole different story, man. And I'm really glad that they brought this fit back. I was really a big fan of the Bauer 7000. This fits closer to the Bauer 7000, and it's a full composite boot, but still keeps the fit of the 7000 and the comfortness of it. So go out there and get them. At this point of the year, with the one end coming out, these are probably hitting, I don't know, they're probably at a discount at this point in Hockey Monkey and Total Hockey and all the other fellas. Ice Warehouse, Behind the Mask. They'll all work with you, I'm sure. They'll all do some really cool stuff with you. And so go get them. This is the Bauer 8000. Thank you so much to Bauer. I really do appreciate you guys. I do appreciate you giving me the chance. And have yourselves a wonderful weekend. If you have any questions, comment below. Share the video to your loved ones. Tell your girlfriend about it. Put it on, I don't know, your Facebook or your whatever other media you have. Your Google Plus. Right. Someone else uses Google Plus. Other than that, thanks for watching. You guys do mean a lot to me. And like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe. Share. Cheers.